I'm Randall Burg, and I'm going to talk to you about how to maintain your Brightwork on your boat. Now, Brightwork is external varnish woodwork on a boat. Some boats have virtually none, New Meridians and Carvers and Sea Rays. They have virtually no exterior wood. More traditional boats, 80s, 90s boats, tend to have lots of woodwork. My 51-foot Mason had an enormous amount of woodwork, and I was stripping and varnishing the teak every 6 months until I got smart and had canvas covers made for it. That's a great strategy. Varnish it, do your Brightwork, and then cover it with canvas. But generally, most boats have a minimal amount of woodwork, but you want to keep it looking terrific. That gives it that nautical look. So what do you do? If it's teak or mahogany, you try and make sure that you find any spots where it rubbed through and waters penetrate before it gets too extreme. If you do that right away, you won't have to strip all of the wood. However, if you let it flake up and lots of water gets under the varnish, you got to strip it all. If it's a minimal job, just a couple spots, you take some fairly coarse sandpaper, 100 for example would be fine. Sand it down by hand or with a block or possibly a power machine. Get it really clean and smooth, then go to 4 and then 600 wet sandpaper, get it real smooth, and then you start applying varnish. The first coat should be thinned varnish, which means half thinner and half varnish. Very light penetrating coat. It seals it and allows the varnish then to really set properly. If you don't do that, it'll be sucked into the wood too quickly and you just be using lots and lots of varnish for multiple coats. Some boats require up to 6 coats of varnish to get that incredible yacht club finish. So what you want to do is thin coats. Between each coat, let it dry thoroughly so it's not tacky at all, and then using 600 wet dry sandpaper, you buff it out. You could go to 400 or 300 depending how rough it is, but smooth it out as much as you can, and then put another coat on, sand it, put another coat, sand it. The final coat should be 600 wet dry, smooth to a high gloss finish. It should be absolutely gorgeous, and then a final coat of varnish. For bigger chunks, for really poorly maintained, you have to go all the way down to the wood. Usually I tape off the wood all the way around with blue tape, and then I use a chemical stripper and let it set, wear gloves. Be very careful it doesn't get on other parts of the boat. And then using a stripping tool, which you can buy at West Marine or other marine stores, scrape it off, scrape as much as you can, put repeated coats of stripper. The alternative is use a heat gun. Again, do alternate coats, strip it, heat it, strip it, heat it till it's down the wood. And finally, do as much as you can, then use a very coarse sandpaper, like 100 grit. I wouldn't use 60, that's really extreme. And then 200 grit and 300 grit until it's super fine, completely clear wood. At this point, you have a choice not to varnish, but simply use teak finisher. Teak finisher, you put on wet, and then you put a stop compound on it wet, and it gets it a beautiful orange finish. But that'll last about a month. After every month, you have to use a hose and brush it and clean all the gray finish off, and then refinish it with the teak finisher. But it's a fun job. It's an easy job. It's not a very difficult job. If you don't want to do that, you got to use varnish. So again, use the thin down varnish 50-50, put a coat on, maybe a second coat on, and then start laying full thickness coats and sand in between. And that's about it. Once it's finished, let it dry. Think about covers. Your boat's going to look prize winning and yacht club quality. I'm Randall Burg. If you're interested in buying or selling a boat, get a hold of me. I can also send you a free ebook on buying a boat. Just send me your email address and I'll get you a free 48-page ebook. Thank you very much. Randall Burg, signing off.